Welcome to Army Controller Training Module. Inspired by Shri Sanjeev Mittal, IDAS, Controller General of Defence Accounts. Lyrics by Shri Sanjeev Kumar, IDAS, Additional Secretary and Financial Advisor, Ministry of Rural Development, Government of India. Presented by Principal Controller of Defence Accounts, Southwestern Command Army, Jaipur. Conception and patronage by Shri Saroj Kumar, IDAS, Principal Controller of Defence Accounts, Southwestern Command Army, Jaipur. Chief Mentor and Reviewer Shri Himanshu Shankar, IDAS, Integrated Financial Advisor, Southwestern Command Army, Jaipur. Directed by Dr. Bhuvnesh Kumar Verma, IDAS, Joint Controller of Defence Accounts. Assistant Directors Shri Abhishek Sharma, IDAS, Shri Sushil Riyad, IDAS, Shri Mohan Lal Meena, IDAS, and Shri DK Oza, IDAS. Defence Accounts Department comes under the Ministry of Defence with the Controller General of Defence Accounts as its head. It is one of the oldest central government departments functioning for more than 270 years. The duties of Defence Accounts Department are broadly audit, payment, accounting and financial advice to armed forces, ordnance factories, border roads, DRDO, Coast Guard, etc. The department is also responsible for making payment of pension to retired armed forces personnel, including defence civilians. The quality policy is: the Defence Accounts Department is committed to render efficient, correct and prompt accounting, payment and financial services leading to customer satisfaction. It is also committed to render efficient audit services to ensure public accountability. The mission statement of our department is: we strive to achieve excellence and professionalism in accounting and financial services and in performing audit functions.
Minimum government, maximum governance is the present government's commitment, and being part of the administration, we are mandated to fulfill this commitment. As Defence Accounts Department, we are expected to provide effective financial advice, internal audit and efficient accounting services to Ministry of Defence and its organizations, including the three services. To achieve this, we require a clear sense of responsibility at all levels, integration of the existing work procedures with a dynamically changing work environment by constantly adapting to new challenges quickly in a professional manner. For this, we have to strengthen our workforce with the required knowledge and expertise through suitably devised training programs. In this direction, I congratulate Shri Saroj Kumar, Principal Controller of Defence Accounts, Southwestern Command, for conceptualizing and creating the training module for the Army Controllers for meeting the departmental training requirements. Such effort is all the more commendable since it has been undertaken during the period of COVID-19 pandemic related national lockdown and its related restrictions on office functioning and travel. I have assessed these modules and it is my opinion that the contents of each video tutorial are adequate for providing in-depth knowledge about the subject as also its practical aspects through examples and case studies. I hope this Army Controller Training module will become a milestone in imparting departmental training online and shall further motivate other controllers to develop similar video tutorials on other topics as envisaged in the DAD Training and Development Policies 2019. Moreover, development of e-learning modules is the need of the hour for training of our officers and staff. Once again, I feel great pleasure in conveying my best wishes to all the officers and staff involved for contributing to the development of these training modules in a comprehensive and effective manner, especially in view of the fact that the entire exercise was carried out by officers and staff members of Principal CDA South Western Command. I hope to see more of such innovative developments in future for enhancing the training functions of our department. I would like to end with these few lines from Shri Amit Arjun Bhardwaj, a motivational expert. कुछ करना है तो डटकर चल, थोड़ा दुनिया से हटकर चल, लीक पर तो सभी चल लेते हैं, कभी इतिहास को पलट कर चल, मिलेगा तेरी मेहनत का फल, किसी और का ना इंतज़ार कर, कुछ करना है तो डटकर चल, थोड़ा दुनिया से हटकर चल। थैंक यू। जय हिंद।
मित्रों, आज देश ही नहीं वरन संपूर्ण विश्व एक भयंकर त्रासदी से गुजर रहा है। ऐसी स्थिति में सभी प्रकार के कार्य बुरी तरह से प्रभावित हुए हैं, फिर चाहे वो सरकारी कार्य हो अथवा गैर सरकारी कार्य। हमारे विभाग का एक महत्वपूर्ण कार्य अपने अधिकारियों व कर्मचारियों के लिए प्रशिक्षण की उचित व्यवस्था करना है, जिससे हम अपने निर्धारित कार्य को सुव्यवस्थित, दक्षता एवं गुणवत्तापूर्ण ढंग से संचालित कर सकें। वर्तमान विश्व त्रासदी को देखते हुए आज सभी जगह सामाजिक दूरी एक अनिवार्यता हो गई है, जिससे कि हम स्वयं को तथा अपने आसपास के लोगों को संक्रमित होने से रोक सकें। इसी को दृष्टिगत रखते हुए यह सोचा गया है कि हम प्रशिक्षण में ई लर्निंग माध्यम को अपनाकर अपने अधिकारियों व कर्मचारियों को ऐसे किसी जोखिम से बचाते हुए दूरस्थ प्रशिक्षण के माध्यम से प्रशिक्षित कर सकें। रक्षा लेखा महानियंत्रक महोदय के मार्गदर्शन में ट्रेनिंग मॉड्यूल इसी सोच का परिणाम है और इसमें हमने उन महत्वपूर्ण विषयों को समाहित किया है जो सामान्यतया कमांड पीसीडीए सीडीए के लिए अति आवश्यक हैं। हमारे अधिकारियों और कर्मचारियों ने पूरा प्रयास किया है कि गुणवत्ता पूरी तरह से बनी रहे तथा वर्तमान नियमों अधिनियमों को भी सम्मिलित करने का प्रयास किया गया है। मुझे पूर्ण विश्वास है कि यह मॉड्यूल हमारे लोगों को समुचित प्रशिक्षण प्रदान करने में सार्थक होगा, जिससे वे अपने कार्यों को कुशलता व दक्षतापूर्वक संपादित कर सकेंगे। धन्यवाद।
सर्वश्रेष्ठ हो, सर्वप्रिय हो, कार्य करें सर्वोत्तम, यही हमारा मूल मंत्र हो, यही हमारा लक्ष्य परम। सर्वश्रेष्ठ हो, सर्वप्रिय हो, कार्य करें सर्वोत्तम, आओ मिलकर करें प्रतिज्ञा, सर्वश्रेष्ठ बन जाना है। विज्ञान ज्ञान अनुशासन को जीवन की धुरी बनाना है, जीवन की धुरी बनाना है। सर्वश्रेष्ठ हो, सर्वप्रिय हो, कार्य करें सर्वोत्तम, यही हमारा मूल मंत्र हो, यही हमारा लक्ष्य परम। सर्वश्रेष्ठ हो, सर्वप्रिय हो, कार्य करें सर्वोत्तम, यही हमारा मूल मंत्र हो, यही हमारा लक्ष्य परम।
Warm welcome to all of you. My name is Rohit Dhabi and today I am going to discuss an important topic, that is working of E-section. Let's first understand the basic of organization of MES in work services. The MES is responsible for receipts realized and expenditure incurred in connection with the engineering services and for preparation of work accounts. The engineer in chief is the head of corps of engineers and of the Military Engineering Services. He is also a technical advisor to the Chief of Army Staff. These are the levels of MES organizations for the purpose of work services. Engineering in chief, as we already discussed, that is technical advisor of Chief of Army Staff. In the downline of ENC is Command Chief Engineer, CWE and AGE. Command Chief Engineer works for Army, Navy, Air Force and factories. Chief Engineer Zone or Project is appointed for large projects. Command Works Engineer MES districts is headed by Command Works Engineer. GE is responsible for division or subdivision as the work allotted to him. Contracts concluded by Chief Engineer or CWE executed by GE itself. GE is assisted by AGE. Defense works are divided into two broad categories, namely original work and repair work. First one is original work. Original works comprise works services like construction of buildings, workshops, storage depots, etc., including their internal fittings and fixtures, as well as roads, runways, blast pans, marine works, electrical and mechanical services, water supply, drainage, other utility services, arboriculture ranges, furniture, etc., as well as purchase and additions. Original works are divided into four categories. First one is major capital work. Original works costing rupees 15 lakh or more than that comes under major capital work. Second one is original work costing more than rupees 2 lakh but less than 15 lakh comes under low budgeted capital work. Revenue works. Those works whose costing more than 1 lakh rupees and not exceeding rupees 2 lakh is called revenue works. Minor works, that is original works costing not more than 1 lakh is comes under minor works. Repair works. Repair works are further subdivided into two categories, ordinary repairs and special repairs. First one is ordinary repairs. Ordinary repairs further subdivided into many categories, that is petty repairs, periodical services and replacement and renewals, etc. Special repairs. Special repairs consist of renewals and replacement as well as alteration of improvements costing beyond the monetary ceiling for ordinary repairs in each case. Special repair will be treated as original works for purposes of administrative approval and technical sanction but will be budgeted for under the maintenance head concerned. New original works are further subdivided in two categories. These are as follows. First one is authorized work and second one is special work. Authorized work. Work services for which scales are authorized in regulations or by separate orders of a general or specific nature issued by the Government of India are referred to broadly as authorized works. Special works, those type of works which are not comes under the category of authorized works called special works. These may be approved only when exceptional local conditions justify the necessity or as an important experimental measures. Special works should not be approved if the effect would be to introduce a new practice or change of scales. 9 general stages of processing of new works are as follows. First one is planning of works. Planning of works is most important part for initiation of any work services. In most of the work services, statement of case will be submitted to the competent financial authority for consideration and approval. The statement of case will contain scope of work proposed, type of construction, whether it is authorized or special work, the target date by which the completion of the proposed work, desired location, availability of land, and rough cost estimates. After examination and approval of a statement of case, the competent financial authority will set up a board proceedings. Board proceedings examining the various features of new work proposals. It compressing the normal time frame of carrying out the works. Delegation of special powers to the chief engineer for planning and execution of work and make necessary recommendations. Acceptance of necessity. Acceptance is root cause of initiation of any work services. If there is a necessity, then there should be acceptance of it. Acceptance of necessity is based on rough estimates. After careful consideration of new work proposals as explained in the statement of case and board proceedings, it is decided to carry out the proposed work services. Then formal order will be issued by the competent financial authority. Accepting the necessity of the proposed work and ordering the preparation of approximate estimates. Third point is preparation of approximate estimates. The engineering authorities will prepare the approximate estimates in the prescribed pro forma as per the line indicated in the approved statement of case. Board proceedings and domestic accommodation requirements for the MES construction staff. Consultancy charges, necessary external services, and other requirements of technical natures will be included in approximate estimates, even if no specific recommendation of Board of Officers is existing. Administrative approval. Administrative approval is based on approximate estimate part 1 and part 2. Administrative approval will be accorded by the competent financial authority. It will state clearly whether the works being approved are authorized or special work. Special item of work will be specified and reason of approving for the same will be stated. Time for completion of work will be clearly indicated in the administrative approval. Any extension of time for completion will be conveyed to concerned CDA. If commencement of work delayed by 12 months, then revised ADAM approval is mandatory. Appropriation of funds. Appropriation of funds means the allocation of a particular sum of money to meet the expenditure on a specified work through the annual allocation of funds under the budgetary heads. It should be ensured that the sufficient fund for work in certain code head is available and administrative approval is accorded by the competent financial authority. Technical sanction. After ensuring of availability of funds, technical sanction is issued by the competent engineering authority. It gives guarantee that work proposals are structurally sound and estimates are accurately calculated and based on adequate data. The amount of technical sanction for the whole project is not likely to exceed the amount of ADAM approval, including the tolerance limit of 10%. Schedule of works will be prepared along with the requisite designs and drawings, costed and technically sanctioned by the competent engineering authority. Before tender documents are issued, this schedule of works, generally called costed schedule of works. Tender action. After the schedule of work for a project has been technically sanctioned by the competent engineering authority, tender will be invited for the execution of work. It will be ensured that the whole process is based on e-tendering, means electronic tendering. Contract actions. On receipt of tenders, the engineers will evaluate the tenders and prepare a tender appraisal report. The competent engineering authority will ensure completion of detailed design and drawing as well as costed schedules and, if necessary, issue revised technical sanction without delay after receipt of ADAM approval. Now, the last stage is execution of works. After acceptance of contract, the execution of works and their supervision will be carried out by the engineers in charge. Competent administrative authority will regularly monitor the progress of works. helps the engineers in mobilizing physical and financial resources and removing procedural bottlenecks so that the execution of work will be on time and without any hindrance. All the above 9 steps of new work proposals may vary due to different nature of works. Now over to our next speaker, Priya, for further explanation of topics.
Thank you, Rohit. Hello, everyone. I'll start with the objectives of E section. Main objectives of engineering section of a controller's office are: firstly, to advise administrative and executive authorities on the financial management aspects of works and contracts. Secondly, to advise on revenue aspects relating to rent and allied charges. Rent and allied charges are dealt by BSO offices. Thirdly, to pay promptly and correctly for works executed by the contractors. Before we proceed further, we should be aware about the delegation of financial powers, knowledge of which is essential, as any financial sanction by the competent financial authority may only be accorded as per delegation of financial powers, and these powers shall be as per Schedule 14 of DFPDS, that is Delegation of Financial Power of Defense Services 2015. Along with this, work powers for processing work cases, procedure mentioned in Defense Works Procedure, and subsidiary instructions of Ministry of Defense on the subject may be followed. This is a list of regulations manuals applicable on MES organization and E section of main office, according to which E section of main office will scrutinize the contract agreement, final bills, etc. First one is Defense Works Procedure 2007. It contains all the work procedure of defense services. Then MES regulations, then Manual of Contracts 2007, IAFW 2249. It contains all the general conditions of contract. Then Standard Schedule of Rates 2009. It contains rates of all important items for construction works. Then Engineering in Chief instruction given by him time to time. Then Office Manual Part 8. It is a manual of E section. Moving ahead, this is a list of some nutshell points which we will discuss one by one in detail in our upcoming presentation. So these are scrutiny of administrative approval, technical sanction, scrutiny of contract agreement, pre-audit and post-audit of final bills, scrutiny of deviation orders, amendments, scrutiny of monthly expenditure report, post-audit of cash book, acceptance and release of security deposit, escalation payment, then supply and services, that is S&S impressed account. Now, let's discuss how scrutinize administrative approval. The audit of administrative approvals accorded by the competent financial authorities lower than the Government of India will be carried out by engineering section of a controller's office. The audit of administrative sanctions accorded by the Government of India will be carried out by the Director General of Audit Defense Services, and in this case it will only be seen that they have been issued with the concurrence of the Ministry of Defense Finance. In conducting the regular audit of administrative approval accorded by the competent financial authority lower than the Government of India, it will be seen that the authority according to the administrative approval is competent to do so, and that necessity for the work has been accepted by the competent financial authority. We have to check that the amount shown in the administrative approval agrees with the amount shown in the approximate estimates. If they do not agree, then ask for the revised administrative approval to correct the amount with approximate estimates. We also have to make sure that calculations made in approximate estimate part 2 are correct and are correctly reflected in AE part 1. Then, where the approximate estimate exceeds by more than 10% of the amount accepted by CFA as shown in engineer appreciation, revised acceptance of necessity was obtained before administrative approval was accorded. Then, the source from which funds will be provided should be stated in the administrative approval. In the case of authorized work, its authority should be quoted in the administrative approval. Then, the sanction together with the approximate estimate has been communicated to PCDA CDA offices directly by the sanctioning authority. The sanction is not accorded piecemeal with a view to bring the amount within the powers of the sanctioning authority. Further, if additions become necessary through revision of scales or establishments or for other administrative reasons, a supplementary estimate is prepared and administrative approval would be obtained from the competent financial authority empowered to accord such approval to the entire work, including both the original and supplementary estimates. In case of special works, reason for according admin approval should justify the execution of work according to para 6B and 31A of Defense Works Procedure. That special works have not been approved in cases where the introduction of a new practice or change of scale is involved. In all such cases, sanction of Government of India is required to be obtained. In determining the CFA in a case where the project includes both authorized and special items of work, the criteria shall not be the financial power for the authorized item of work alone. Means, if the total estimated cost of the special items of works exceeds the financial powers of the CFA, then for those items, administrative approval would be issued by the CFA under whose powers the special item of work falls. In cases where an administrative approval has been revised consequent on letting out a contract at the risk and expense of a defaulting contractor, the revision has been necessitated due to following reasons. When extra expenditure becoming irrecoverable from the defaulting contractor is regularized and is charged to work and causes excess over administrative approval. In other cases, administrative approval need not be revised when the amount of the contract let out at the risk of the defaulting contractor, that is, when it is recovered from the contractor. All letters conveying admin approval will be noted in the register of approval to works and filed in a separate file and will be serially numbered. Letters conveying revised admin approvals will be linked with the original ones. Lastly, in the case of important projects which are generally taken up for the purpose of financial stock taking, separate files for each project may be opened for facility of reference. Here we have a sample format of administrative approval and we can see how the executive authority prepares a sanction. It contains sanctioned amount, details of code head, duration of work, IFA concurrence and CFA sanction. Here we have a table A of our MES. We can see in this table that station commander hold powers of rupees 5 lakh for authorized work and simultaneously rupees 50,000 for special work without IFA.
Scrutiny of technical sanctions. These are some general points which we will see at the time of scrutiny of technical sanction. First point is technical sanction should be accorded by the competent engineering authority. The sanction together with costed schedule of projects or sub-projects should have been received directly from the sanctioning engineering authority. The amount of technical sanction does not exceed the amount of administrative approval after including the tolerance limit of 10%. The competent engineering authority for issue of technical sanction will be determined with reference to the amount of administrative approval. The technical sanction along with costed schedule of projects or sub-projects will be communicated to the CDA directly by the sanctioning authority. The costed schedule of works accompanying the technical sanction should be based on the laid down scales and designs and do not vary from the specifications shown in the part 2 of approximate estimate accompanying the ADAM approval unless the changes are due to the technical reasons. The schedule of work will be prepared before calling for tender or commencement of the work. No contract was made nor had begun till the schedules been costed and technically sanctioned. Now, in case of work carried out by specialist firms on their own designs, technical sanction has been accorded on receipt of tenders but before the acceptance of contract. In case of furnitures, prior approval of government has been obtained for any changes in scale or design. For work costing less than 50,000, preparation of costed schedule of works need not be insisted upon. Revised technical sanction is necessary when the costed schedules are revised due to the technical or engineering reason, such as changes in designs, drawings, specification, etc., and also on account of revised ADAM approvals. If the variations are not already covered by the amendments and also when the technical sanction were based on inaccurate estimates initially. The stationery and office equipments purchased against project contingency should be in accordance with the para 38 of Defense Work Procedure 2007. Temporary accommodation for MES storage and office accommodation from office contingency where essentially required should be built sufficiently in advance and not at fag of the project. The technical sanction will be linked with the ADAM approval and filed in a separate file which will duly be page numbered. Here we have a sample format of technical sanction. We can see how the executive authority prepares a sanction. It contains Authority of Defense Work Procedure 2007 and here we have a work description, then sanctioning authority and total technical sanctioned work. As we can see in table B, power of engineering authority mentioned. Here we have an example that if major work is proposed, then chief engineer has full power and CWE has 150 lakh power. Further, GE contains only 50 lakh powers only. Scrutiny of contract agreements. Contract agreement is prepared by executives and forwarded to E section for scrutiny. E section contains a checklist for scrutiny of contract and checks all the aspects according to this list. Some of the general points are mentioned here for basic understanding of scrutiny of contract. Contract must be concluded on standard form only. Then check arithmetic accuracy of Schedule A and comparative statements. Thereafter, compare Schedule A with comparative statements, which is prepared at the time of conclusion. Detail of work shown in Schedule A of contract agreement must be conform to the ADAM approval and technical sanctions. All rates mentioned in Schedule A and B of contract agreement should be according to the Standard Schedule of Rates 2009. Rates of these schedules are in word as well as in figures also. Duration in tendering process should not exceed with the given prescribed time. It should be ensured from the contract agreement that whether provision of water, electricity, anti-termite treatment, waterproofing treatment is included. If conditions are not mentioned in contract terms, then it should be pointed out in observations. Work order should be enclosed with proper format and also contains proper authority, work description, date of commencement of work, and date of completion of works. Now, all relevant drawings should be received with contract agreement. General documents should be sent to CDA within 4 weeks of acceptance of contract. Here, adequate time given to the tender, that is 4 to 6 weeks. Periods of tendering process will be remains open normally for 1 month. Accepted tender should be the lowest one, that is L1 vendor. Information regarding earnest money, security deposit and enlistment shown in the contract itself. Drawings signed by the contractor and accepting officer should be enclosed. Deviation percentage should be specified. Generally, it is 10% of the contract value. Arbitration provisions properly worded and should be very clear. In case of free credit quoted, negotiation is permissible with the L1 vendor only. Escalation provisions are scrutinized in respect of mode of payments, constants, and formulas. In case of single tender situation or acceptance of other than the L1 vendor situation, then consultation from the CDA is mandatory. Rates of contract agreement, including percentages which is above or below from the standard schedule of rates, should be expressed in words as well as in figures. Name of the signatory of the contract agreement should be indicated. Contractor and the accepting officer or his representative signature or initial will be in ink only for all documents, including amendment and corrections. Contract accepted by the engineering officer as per the table B power, and the sum is within the permissible limit of ADAM approval.
Let's understand the pre-audit of final bills. This is a whole diagram of processing of final bills. Here we can see that bills sent by concerned GE offices are received in R section. In R section, bills are being diarized on tulip system. Then it will go to E section for pre-audit. E section will check all the relevant documents and audit the bill as per regulations. Then made calculation and pass the bill. Then E section will send the pre-audited bill to R section. R section send the pre-audited bill to respective GE offices. One thing to note there, all final bills whose contractual value is 10 lakhs or more than 10 lakhs are forwarded to E section of main office for pre-audit. And if the final bill is related to chief engineer or commander works engineer, then approval from group officer will be obtained through office note. If bill is related to GE, then it will be passed at the level of section in charge. Now, let's see the documents and details that needs to be attached and required with the final bill. We require bill forwarding certificate in IAFW 2254, final bill form in IAFW 2262, abstracts, statement of stores, demolition certificate, tools and plant statements, water and electricity recovery statements, compensation statements, completion certificate, date of commencement of work, name of accepting officer, date of measurement of work, contract number and year, date of completion of work, name of contractors. There are some general observations which will be scrutinized by E-section. The final bill should be submitted in the prescribed form. It should be in original and ink signed by the authorized signatory. The final bills are to be completed within 1 month of completion of work. Statement of stores should be issued under Schedule B. All deviation orders, work orders, amendments, star rates, proportional rates should be enclosed with the final bills. Completion certificate should be signed by the garrison engineer and attached with the final bill. Seizable amount withheld for defect rectification also. It will also be seen that completion certificate has been issued within 7 days from the date of completion of work. If there is any defect that needs to be rectified after completion of work, then it should be mentioned clearly in the completion certificate. Statement of recoveries in respect of default, etc., or containers not returned to MES as per conditions of the contract should be clearly stated. Contractor has signed for gross amount of final bill. Totaling of schedules should be shown in words as well as in figures. There should be no errors in totals and all alterations should be attested by the officer concerned. Contractor has given a clear no demand certificate on page number 2 of the bill over his dated initial and signature. It should also be ensured that the contractor signed the no claim certificate on page 2 of the final bill without any reservations. The CA to which the final bill relates concluded and accepted in audit, and all observations raised on the respective CA should have been settled. Work should be completed within stipulated period. Otherwise, compensation for delay will be recovered as per prescribed regulations. Any type of outstanding demands against contractor should be recovered from the final bill. Rates and quantities in the abstract should be tallied with Schedule A, deviation orders and amendments. The terms and special conditions of the CA are fulfilled. Consolidated store statement duly technically checked and enclosed with the bill. Stores issued are covered by Schedule B and rate should be charged correctly. Now let's understand deviation order. As we all know, the time is the essence of any contract. The period of time provided in the contract agreement is the completion period for the subject contract. If the contract could not be completed within the stipulated period, either due to reasons beyond the contractor's control or that of the departments, more time is granted to the contractor for completion of the work. This additional time granted to the contractor is known as extension of time. Scrutiny of deviation order is conducted by E-section. Some general points that should be seen at the time of scrutiny of deviation orders are basically the specific reasons in cases where the deviation is ordered due to reasons beyond the contractor's control. Then, when the approval in principle is issued after the completion of work, the same should be included in ARMES report under statement D. In cases when the deviation order has been initiated long after the issue of the approval in principle, the specific reason for the delay in finalization and submission of the deviation order is to be asked for. In case of delay for issue of approval in principle, the reason for the delay should be called for, and if the original approval in principle has not been received earlier, a copy should be called for during scrutiny of the DO. In case of DO of lump sum and measurement contracts, it should be seen that the DO is given descriptive heading and the manner in which deviation is to be measured and priced. That the proposed deviation is within the terms of the contract and does not change the scope of the contract. That the DO has been signed by the contractor and approved by the competent authority. That the pro rata or star rates involving total payment up to rupees 50,000 will be technically checked by authorized officer where the payment involved in respect of individual item exceeds rupees 50,000 before approval is accorded by the competent authority, and such rates will be checked 100% in audit. We also have to see that all extension of time granted through DOs covering DOs is recorded in the register for extension of deviation orders. We need to check that the DO does not increase the value of contract beyond the original value plus deviation percentage laid down in the contract agreement, and it should also be seen that it does not increase the amount of work beyond the powers of the accepting authority, and if it does, sanction of next higher authority should be looked for. If the actual expenditure under a contract exceeds the maximum deviation limit, it should be seen that prior concurrence of authority within whose powers of acceptance of the contract the actual expenditure lies, an amendment to the contract agreement is issued. In addition, prior concurrence of engineering in chief will be looked in such cases. That the deviation order does not increase the value of the contract beyond the amount of the technical sanction and administrative approval. Work order and deviation orders for minor work will be sent to E section for scrutiny, and a copy of the same duly attested will be returned to AOGE for releasing the payment of final bill.
Scrutiny of amendments. These are some general points to scrutinize of amendments. Amendments is made in the form of an annexure to contract. CDA is consulted before acceptance whenever an amendment involves considerable financial effect. It should be verified whether any unintended benefits accrues to the contractor consequent on issue of the amendment, whether the contractor has signed the amendment before signing the final bill. If he has signed after signing the final bill, sanction of the next higher authority must be obtained. In case the rate of stores issued are revised via an amendment, it should be ensured that the revised rates are the highest of the four rates mentioned in para 446 RMES. The financial effect of the amendment should be in the amendment itself. The sanction of the next higher authority must have been obtained if an amendment involves enhancement of contract rates, if issued after signing a final bill by the contractor, or involving change of specification in respect of items containing free crates. If the amendment brings the value of contract above the power of the accepting officer, it is referred to the officer in whose powers it falls. Amendment to the contract agreement is issued for addition of value of extra work. In case of amendment involving enhancement of contract rates, it should be seen that it is justified. Scrutiny of monthly expenditure report, generally called MER. These are some general points which we can see in MER. MER should be reconciled with the figures shown in the punching media for the related month. Compare the expenditure shown during the month under the various heads and see that it agrees with that shown in the monthly section compilation. Excess of expenditure over the amount of ADAM approval and sanctioned allotted, calling reason and asking to MES authority to obtain additional allotment to cover excess expenditure. Pace of expenditure should be watched so that uniform progress of expenditure must be maintained. Reconciliation of MER with EDP compilation should be tallied in all the respects. Here we can describe internal mechanism of post audit. Here we have a flow chart of post audit of bills and vouchers. We can see in this flow chart that how cash book goes. Here, first of all, cash book maintained by GE office, then this cash book forwarded to E section of CDA office. All enclosures of cash book should be checked by E section auditor, and it will also be ensured by the auditor that 4 statements of cash book will enclosed in the cash book. After that, all cash book is scrutinized by the auditor of each section. Then this cash book forwarded to GE office, audit of cash book. Every officer having impressed will maintain a cash book on IAFW 2246 format. All transactions dealing with the receipts of cash or checks and all the payments or disbursement will be entered as they take place. The cash book will be maintained by the cashier under the supervision of AOGE. All entries will be checked and initialed by all AOG and the officer operating the account. The cash book will be maintained in 2 volumes, each volume recording the transaction for alternate months. The cash book will be closed and balanced on the 25th of each month, except in March when it will be closed on the 31st. Cash book will be forwarded to each section of CDA office after check by AOG with all necessary schedules, bills and vouchers, except cash vouchers for amount not exceeding rupees 100, industrial personnel bills and muster rolls. Post audit of vouchers. Every GE office maintain a record of its expenditure in the form of cash book. At the end of the every month, cash book will be prepared by GE and forward this cash book to the E section for post audit. This cash book contains 4 statements. Cash book contains four type of statements. These are vouchers pre-audited by E section. Those type of voucher which is audited by E section is comes under statement 2. Statement 3 is post audited by RAO LAO vouchers. Then impressed account to be post audited by E section. Next, scrutiny of cash book. Some general points we will see in cash book. First one is time of submission. Cash book should be submitted in E section before 10th day of the following month. Second one is voucher detail mentioned in concern. Earlier we were discussed of statement related to cash book. It will ensure that every voucher should be maintained and according to their statement only. Punching media. Punching media should be enclosed with the cash book and tallied with all the statements. Scrutiny of vouchers and final bills. All vouchers and bills should be taken into account and act accordingly. Deposit and release of security. The security has been deposited in any of the authorized forms mentioned below: government securities, state and municipal debentures, post trust bonds, deposit receipts of SBI, post office cash certificate, post office saving bank passbook, national savings certificates. The bond has been executed for any amount of security according to the table given below. Suppose the contractor is of D class, then limit of it is 50 lakh, then security deposit should be 1 lakh must be deposited by the contractor. All contractors are required to deposit the security in the prescribed format. Contractors who have executed the standard security bonds are not required to deposit the earnest money and security deposit for individual work. The bond has been executed in the name of Chief Engineer of the command in which the contractor wishes to operate. Securities has been pledged in favor of President of India if they are in the form of post office savings certificate, and in favor of CD of the command if they are in any other form. In case of a contract of unlimited class, the bond has been accepted by the chief engineer in whose command where the headquarters of the contractor is located. The bond has been stamped and registered in accordance with the law of the state in which it is executed. All the blank spaces should be filled and all corrections have been attested by the parties concerned. Enter the bond together with the security deposit lodged in the security deposit register over the signature of the office is in charge. Keep the bond and security deposit in safe custody. Release of security deposits. When security is lodged for a particular contract, the following procedure is followed. The contractor applies to the accepting officer with a no demand certificate on IAFW 451. Chief engineer is the accepting authority of security deposit. If he writes to GE concerned with a copy of CWE to render no claim certificate to the effect that there are no claim outstanding against the contractor, the maintenance period of work is over. Any guarantee period specified in contract agreement is over. The final bill has been audited by the CDA and paid by the concerned GE. E-section role in releasing of security deposit. First point is, on receipt of intimation from chief engineer, CDA office must be called for a no claim certificate from GEs. On the other hand, receipt of no demand certificates from chief engineer and no claim certificate from the GE. E-section will release the concerned security. In case of individual security is pledged to chief engineer, then accepting officer will write to CDA to notify the GE to release the security.
Now let's learn about escalation payment. Reimbursement or refund on variation in price during execution of work is to be paid in terms of condition 63 of IAFW 2249. Increase or decrease in price of materials and fuel shall be adjusted on the basis stipulated hereinafter, irrespective of the actual variation in price to the contractor. Following points are to be looked during checking the payment on account of escalation charges. We will check that special condition for escalation is mentioned in contract agreement or not. It should be more than 6 months. Term contracts not covered for escalation. Periodicity for calculation of escalation charges is 3 months. First quarter's claim will commence from last due date for the receipt of tender. And the last due date of receipt of tender is to be verified from the tender documents. Constants for material, fuel, labor, and others should be as specified as mentioned in contract agreement. And indices for material and fuel of the particular zone for the particular quarter to be applied correctly. RARs to be timed according to quarter ending dates. In cases where RARs are not being timed with reference to due date of payment of escalation, then dummy RAR on due date duly checked by AOGE is to be made for regularity the payment of escalation. Then date of commencement of work should be as per work order. Star rates and prime cost sums to be deducted. Escalation is admitted only up to the date of completion of work as per completion certificate. No adjustment in price shall be made for any work done after due date of completion or extension of time granted under condition 11 of IAFW 2249, whichever is later, for the work done under the contract. Accepting officer decision is final in all type of disputes. Now, no adjustment whatsoever due to variation into force of any fresh law or statutory rule or order as provided in condition 63 of IAFW 2249 or otherwise then provided in this condition shall be made. Now let's move ahead on the last topic of today's session, that is supply and services imprest, S&S imprest. S&S imprest is governed under Addendum 3 of DWP 2007. Formation engineers ordered to execute operational works will be provided with supply and services imprest under the sanction of Command Chief Engineer. The sanction issued by Command Chief Engineer for the purpose will specify the monetary limit of the imprest. Operational work are generally temporary nature of work needed to conduct operation. Imprest account number allotted by E section of Controller's Office. Units operating the imprest will open an imprest account with the nearest bank. Recoupment is made as and when demanded within ceiling monetary limit and fund. All expenditure on operational work are debited to revenue head. Operational tasks are to be completed in the minimum possible period. In case of exorbitant delay in completion due to unforeseen circumstances affecting the nature and scope of work, then formation commanders may be advised to close such operational works. Separate operational tasks may subsequently be ordered as necessary. Expenditure against advance made in supply and services accounts are adjusted through monthly statement of accounts received from engineering regiment.
Thank you very much.
यद्यदाचरति श्रेष्ठस्तत्त देवेतरो जनः स यत् प्रमाणम कुरुते लोकस्तदनु वर्तते। अर्थात श्रेष्ठ मनुष्य जो आचरण करता है दूसरे मनुष्य वैसा वैसा ही आचरण करते हैं। वह जो कुछ प्रमाण देता है दूसरे मनुष्य उसी के अनुसार आचरण करते हैं।